You're now tapped in to NOFOMO, the only podcast where discipline pays, FOMO gets wrecked, and we trade with a purpose. I'm your host, Woodz, and today we're bringing the heat. In this episode, I'm sitting down with the true general in the futures game, the mighty Ox. This brother's been putting in some serious work, not only to consistently growing his own accounts, but he's also leading a Discord army of over 400 traders deep, bringing daily updates, structure, and accountability to the prop firm world. We dive into how he found consistency and the real cost of going full time, and what it takes to be a leader in this space, even when the market is testing your soul. This one is packed with gems for beginners, funded traders, and anyone grinding to get to that next level. So lock in, turn off the noise, and remember, no FOMO. What is happening, guys? It's Woodz. We're back on the No FOMO podcast, and tonight we have a special guest in the building, Ox, the almighty Ox. What is happening, man?
Hey, good to be here. How you doing?
Hey, man, feeling good, feeling great, man. Enjoying life. But
Excellent.
man, glad to have you on, man. I've been watching how your community thrives and functions, man, and you're constantly giving these updates on prop firms, just really out there grinding, man. And I love it. I love it. And I want to hear your story, man.
I appreciate it. It's a lot of work, but I enjoy it.
Right. So tell us a bit about your trading journey so far. How did you get into trading and what sparked your idea to build this trading community?
Well, my trading journey actually started from a personal tragedy, actually.
Mm,
Back in 2019,
mhm,
I ended up getting, I'm a type 2 diabetic. I ended up getting an infection in my leg.
mm.
And after they tried to get rid of the infection, I ended up having to have the leg amputated.
Oh man.
So after that, I got moved to a rehab facility while waiting on my prosthetic,
Hmm.
and then COVID hit.
Mm,
So here one of the weirdest sentences you ever hear is your foot is on back order.
mm,
So I was bored. I've always had a little bit of an interest in trading.
mm,
I had a little bit of money sitting in Robinhood of all things.
mm.
And if you remember when oil went negative,
Uh-huh.
I was in there and I just bought a whole bunch of penny oil stocks, like they were like 20 cents each or whatever, with a little bit of money I had in Robinhood. And they
Wow.
ended up blowing up because oil came back. I ended up like quadrupling my money. I said to myself, well, I have nothing else to do.
Wow.
Why not try and actually learn how to do this? So I started, going, I had my computer there. So I just started watching, YouTube stuff and trying to learn from different people and learn different things.
Mhm.
And I started off with penny stocks, and then eventually I heard about Top Step from a streamer,
Uh-huh.
and I moved there because I had like very little money, so I thought trading with someone else's money sounded like a good idea, and
Right.
that's how I started futures.
Wow. So what inspired you to focus on prop firm updates, like build such an engaging Discord community about it?
That just ended up. I mean, it really happened organically when I started Mighty Ox Trading. I had started this trading thing, and I was doing other stuff to make money online that a lot
Mhm,
of people call like beer money, like doing surveys and stuff like that. I was a big part of a big Reddit community
mhm,
with that stuff. And I was in with Earn to Trade, and I was like, people were asking me how to get started. And I had nothing to tell. I had no idea what to tell people if they had no idea what to do. So I was on the Earn to Trade Discord, and Earn to Trade offered to let me give them people who are their learning material if
uh-huh,
I would promote Earn to Trade.
uh-huh.
And for some weird reason, I just decided to start live streaming my trading journey, and that's how I started promoting Earn to Trade. And that's all only when I started with.
Wow.
And I stuck with just basically Earn to Trade for about a year. And then I started the Discord.
Mhm,
And then just as things progressed, I just started adding more and just became organic to the point where I decided that I want to be an asset to the community in that, there's good firms out there, there's bad firms out there. I want to be
Mhm.
able to give people the information they need to try and help them because I really believe if done right, the prop firms could be an amazing opportunity for people.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
it just kept growing organically to what it is now. And, what I hope that it continues to grow to, that's an asset to the community overall.
Right. So tell me, how do you balance your personal trading journey with running a community that serves thousands of traders? Because there's a lot of people in there, man.
I mean, I've been mostly just trading because, I live stream every day. So,
Uh-huh.
that is 3 hours that I'm totally focused on the trading because I'm, live streaming the trading. And then, it really depends, depends on the day. Some days I'm just working after the live stream. I'll just be working on stuff for the community and keep getting up, updating other stuff. And
Mhm.
other days, if there's, not a lot going on, then I can, still look at the charts and, maybe take some trades here and there. So
Mhm.
it really is a balancing act between the two. But I've learned that if I'm, busy with the community, not to try and keep trading while doing that because that usually ends up bad.
Mm. Right.
But
That's
yeah,
that's a good way to balance it out so that you don't overtrade.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Man, so tell me, what do you think about what do you think makes a Discord community so successful and unique compared to others?
I mean, we have a lot of good people there, and
Mhm.
for the most part, the bad apples don't stick around because I think when you have a lot of good people, the ones that are in there trying to always be negative or take, start insults or whatever they're trying to do,
Mhm.
ones that can ruin a community, they end up realizing that this isn't the place for them and that people aren't going to, don't want them there.
Mm.
And, I mean, I have, a few simple rules in there, and as long as people follow them, it's not like I'm band happy or anything like that. It's
Mhm.
just, I expect people to respect one another basically.
Right.
And I think, the bad apples that do find their way in don't realize it's no purpose wasting their time there.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I'm really proud of what's, the people that are there and what we've built.
Right, right. So, how do you stay up to date with all the prop firm news and changes that provide consistent value to your members?
I follow everything. I'm a member of like 40 other discords.
Yeah.
I follow everyone that has a Twitter. They announce things there, and I have a couple people that now help me.
Uh-huh.
From the community that you know this opportunity of being an affiliate has actually allowed me to bring on like I pay a couple people now to actually help me keep everything up to date
Right, right.
and follow everything because as we've seen this year, it used to be like 10 props and now it's like an explosion of everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, it really has turned into a full-time job, but I really enjoy doing it.
Right, right. I mean, it's nothing like doing something you love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Managing a community is no small task. Like, what are the biggest challenges you face running such a large group?
Just I mean, thankfully, because we have such good people, there isn't a lot of issues. Keeping people, I guess we've seen a lot of controversy over the last few months with some of the various props,
Right.
and the whole FTT thing got out of control for a while. That was really a challenge,
Mhm.
especially this past week when former CEO ended up in my server for a few days. And it's when emotions start getting out of control versus on any subject, whether it's like Apex earlier this summer or whatever,
Mhm.
is finding that balance between letting people vent because
Mhm.
they need to vent. They're upset. This is their money, their time that they're putting into these prompts. So letting people vent versus where does it go over the line,
Mhm.
and that's where it's you want to be everything to everybody, but at the same token you need to find proper balance that you don't start. where going down where the whole situation and the conversation starts getting toxic.
Mhm.
So it's finding that balance, I think, is the biggest challenge.
Right, right. And that leads me to ask you, how do you foster positive and collaborative environment, especially when traders might be facing losses or frustration?
I think positive reinforcement. If people are showing they're frustrated about their own trading, you can be encouraging. You can say encouraging words. Use it, especially me because I'm not the best trader out there, so I can go from
Mhm,
my own experience. Listen, this is what I've been trying to do. This is what I do when I start feeling frustration. Now, if they're frustrated with how a prop's treating them, then that gets a little bit more tougher. And you try and just let them vent a little bit, and you try and you know encourage them if they don't like that prop. There's plenty of others to choose from. So it's just finding, again, it's all in balance. And if they start really you know, getting out of control, then I'll even, ask to direct message them so we can kind of, get that off the main part of the board, and
mhm.
letting them vent a little bit, but getting them calmed down on a personal level.
Right, right. So, like, something that I admire about you, man, is when message each other and we were talking and you said, "Look, just full disclosure, I'm not profitable yet." And I was like, "Wow, he's just being honest and upfront." But, like, even though you say you're not profitable yet, what valuable lessons have you learned from your trading experience? Like,
I've
what would you share with your community?
I think the lessons is that you gotta, first of all, stick with it. Don't I think you always hear the statistics about more than 90% fail, but I
Uh-huh.
think that those statistics include so many people that probably quit after a month or after 2 months. I
Mhm.
really believe that for most people, I'm not going to say for everyone, most people, if they're willing to stick with it and they're not looking for get rich quick,
Uh-huh.
that they can get it. And that's, I mean, I've stuck with it. And also, I used to constantly jump from different strategies, trying different things, different indicators.
Mhm.
And now, one of the biggest things I learned is sticking with this one strategy, or the strategies that I found that are starting to work for me. I have a bunch of funded accounts now.
Right,
Before I could
right,
never even now I could before I could never even get funded. Now I have a
right,
bunch of funded accounts. I just haven't gotten the payout yet. So it's
right.
just part of got to be willing to stick with
The
the
process.
journey, the process and the
Right.
journey.
And if you can pass eval after eval and gain a funded account, it's just so long until you reach that payout process. So you're there. You're just is this is your part of your journey, you know? So
Right.
like tell me, how do you manage psychological pressures of trading while staying motivated to support your community? Because I imagine that's a big juggle.
Yeah, and psych issues are my biggest issues, and I think they are for most people, honestly.
Mhm. Right, right.
It's just, I mean, I'll admit, in the early days, I didn't
Mhm.
manage it well. I remember one time I honestly on a live stream, I scared most of my community where I just blurted out real loud, I hate trading. And, and I mean, that was a really bad day. But, the
Right,
thing is,
right.
I have such great people in the community that at this point, even they can tell when I'm having a bad day, even when I'm trying to hide it, and
Right,
and they
right,
encourage me. So
right,
I mean, honestly, with if I hadn't started the live stream in the community, I probably would have quit trading. I,
right,
they've kept
right.
me going, just like I try to help anyone, keep going along the way.
Man, that's dope. That's dope. So, like, what are some mistakes that you see traders make in your community, and how do you help them avoid those pitfalls?
Biggest mistakes is too much size.
Mhm.
They have 50,
Oversizing.
they have 50K accounts and they're going max contracts with whatever they're allowed.
Mhm,
Um, that's probably the absolute biggest one. But the other one is just when they're having a bad day or they do blow an account, they're
mhm.
resetting 10 times a day because they're already on tilt. So they should not be, maybe once, reset once, and if it's still not your day, you need to walk away.
Right.
Whereas,
Right.
I've seen someone who actually reset 25
Uh-huh.
times in one day. And it's
Damn.
just like, yeah, that's just, there's nothing is good going to come of that.
Shit.
No.
Right. So, like, I know you are the prop firm master. When I need some information about prop firms, I come to you. So, like, prop firms are becoming increasingly popular. What trends or changes have you noticed in the prop firm space recently?
Well, of course, we have direct to funded that's become popular over the last 6 months.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, we also have the path to live, which, in the past we've seen mostly a lot, well, I shouldn't say mostly, but a lot of, people staying in sim forever
Mhm.
or almost forever. And now almost every one of the prop firms are starting to have a definitive path to live. Part of that's just because they need to stay sustainable, and part of that's because of the fear of regulation coming in at some point in time. We keep hearing about it, still hasn't happened.
Mhm.
But I think the other thing I've just recently noticed is it seems like we're starting to trend a little bit away from the deep, deep discounts we've seen in the past, the 90% stuff. Like
Mhm.
right now, the cheapest 50K eval is like $43.
Mhm.
And I don't think any time in the last 2 years I've seen the cheapest overall eval be like above $30. It's just, I
Mhm.
think it's a slow creep that we're going to start seeing the prices start going up. Not astronomically, probably not what we've seen 5 years ago when like Top Step was like $300 a pop. But I
Mhm.
think we're going to start seeing a slow increase back up in price.
So, like, as the space reaches more popularity, then the barrier entry starts to slowly creep up.
Right. And I mean, we're going to start seeing the cream rise to the top. And when
Right.
those prop firms realize that they're the cream of the crop, and that the some of the other smaller ones start going by the wayside, they're going to realize that they have the ability to still, raise that price a little, supply and demand and all that, and
Mm.
still be able to get clients. So,
Right. So, like, what are the top things traders should consider before choosing a prop firm?
definitely sustainability at this point.
Mhm.
Um, we're going to start seeing failures. We've already seen a couple failures now. We're going to start seeing failures. Definitely want a path to live.
Mhm.
Because if a prop does not have or have a plan to have a path to live, you got to wonder, how they're going to continue to pay. We've seen one failure with Fast Track, who was all sim, and we might be seeing another one with Flexi Trade. They've been very quiet lately, and
Mm.
so path to live is definitely one. We want to look for ones that as yeah. I don't. A lot of people want to go to Trustpilot. I don't trust Trustpilot. It's too easy to manipulate. Be part of a
Mhm.
good community. I'm not saying definitely mine, but where you see people talking about the good firms,
Right.
and that will help. I mean, I like so the Path of Life, not overly expensive, but you know, it's not going to be overly cheap, in my opinion, going forward. And
Mm.
just good customer service and good payout rules. You don't want something where you're only going to get paid out once a month. Find something
Right.
that works for you and the payout rules.
Huh. So, have you seen prop firms helping traders become profitable more quickly, or do you think that they come with a challenge that aren't always discussed?
Um, I think it's a double-edged sword there. I think certain rules can help traders become more profitable.
Uh-huh.
Or I shouldn't say more profitable, better traders. Like
Right.
there's always the daily loss limit. There's always a debate. Lots of traders feel like that restricts them, but
Uh-huh.
most of the time the daily loss limit is like 50% of their account, and most people should be stopping before they lose 50% of their account anyway. So
Mhm.
I've changed my mind there. I think daily loss limits should be in place so a trader doesn't go and tilt and blow their whole account in one day. So I
Mm,
think rules like that, I mean, yeah, people can, in software and whatever, set their own daily losses. But those people that are most likely going to go on tilt oftentimes won't do that for themselves anyway, because they're going to
mm,
want to keep revenge trading until they're either back to zero or green, or they blow up the account.
right.
So there's some rules that are great, and I do like, we're starting to see a couple of prop firms that are more hands-on in trying to help a trader find success in other ways. The futures desk obviously just launched, and I know they
Uh-huh.
have, they have coaches and quants. There's other couple other companies that have coaches, and there's ones like Purdy and Trade Day. They will actually call you and talk to you about your trading. And
Mm,
I know there's traders that feel that's intrusive sometimes, but obviously they're risking their money, and so this is not a negative thing. It's people trying to help get
right.
everybody to the goals that they want.
I mean, and that's a straightforward approach, man. I like
Yeah,
it. I
I
mean,
agree.
so let's talk about your trading strategies and practices. What are your primary trading strategies? Like, how did you develop it?
Um, and for a while I did jump strategy to strategy. Now I finally settled on a couple. I use a basically an engulfing candle system now,
Mhm,
where I have one for with momentum or with trend, whatever you want to say, and then one for reversal. And I'm just looking for those engulfing candles, like golfing candle off like the 9 EMA with trend, or an engulfing candle off of a Bollinger Band for a reversal.
mhm.
And it's pretty simple. I look at a couple other indicators on my chart, but those are my main triggers to make me look to whether I want to enter the trade or not.
Right. So, like, how do you approach risk management in your trade? Do you have a specific system for cutting your losses?
I'll usually, unless it's a huge candle, so whatever my trigger candle is usually my stop loss. And then
Mhm,
I'm usually trying to get more than 1 R out of it. I will cut it if it looks like it's hesitating. And risk management is something I'm still working on, trying to keep that at least 1 R, but preferably more than that. But the one issue, I shouldn't say one issue, but my one main issue is cutting good trades too early.
uh-huh.
And I get nervous. It goes up 5 point. I'm looking for 10 points. It goes up 5 points, and then it just dips back down a little bit. I'm like, that's not going any further. Darn it! And I cut it, and I shouldn't. So that's one the next place I really need to start focusing on for improvement, so I can actually get more out of each trade.
Huh. So, like, I know that Ox has a very eventful day. So, can you walk us through your daily trading routine? Like, what does your typical day look like for you?
Let's see. I wake up 6 a.m. Central Time. I eat breakfast and do a couple other things. Get all the charts set up for the live stream. I go live at 7 a.m. Stream from 7 to 10. And then after that, I see what I need to do for the community, whether I need to make up some new ads for whatever's popping, if anything new's popping. Adjust because I have comparison sheets on the Discord to compare all the different prices from all the different prop firms. So anytime there's a new sale or a sale ends, I got to adjust those. And then, if there's any time uh, between doing all that, then I will, go back and look at the charts and decide if I want to find another trade or not. So depends on the day whether that happens or not. Lately, with all the holiday sales, my trading just that 3 hours from the live stream, and that's been it. Because then I just focus on the community, and then I will usually try and sneak in a nap after the bell rings in the afternoon, and
Cool, cool.
go from there.
Nice, nice. So, like, now earlier you did speak on some emotional rants that you had doing some trading and everything. Like, So like I want to ask, what role does emotional control play in your trading? Like, how do you manage stress or anxiety during losing streaks?
I, it used to be where I would just um, continue. I would do exactly what I said people shouldn't do, where I would just continue to try and trade until I get back to green or end up either hitting a daily loss or blowing the account.
Mm,
Now it's just like I've learned to be calmer, and it's helped. I will say, for the people that there's a lot of people out there that start trading hoping that it's going to help with whatever money problems they have at the time, which is
uh-huh.
exactly what I was doing. And my financial situation's gotten a lot better. So now I can stay calmer because it's not like, man, if I don't get this, I just continue to be screwed, whatever. So that's just been helping me keep me calmer too. I think the community helps in a way too, because now I can, even on slow days, if I really try, I can find something to do with the community. So
Mhm,
it's not like I'm I'm have nothing to do, so I go back to look at the charts. I can get
mhm.
away from the charts and do something else instead of just having it just constantly staring at the charts and thinking I just need to take every possible trade possibility, try and get myself back to green or whatever.
So, like, when it comes to your trading plan, how do you stay disciplined and sticking to your trading plan, especially when the markets are unpredictable?
I mean, I'm I'm the opposite of a lot of traders where I'm more risk averse than too risky. So I talk myself out of more good trades instead of talking myself into bad trades most of the time. So, but so my problem is I should be taking more trades than I do than instead of you know with the market being whatever. I could easily find a reason not to enter the trade. So
Uh-huh.
so like I said, I'm more opposite where I'll end up taking not taking trades. So it's easy for me to stay out of a risky market usually.
Mhm.
I do sometimes, obviously, like anybody else, misread a signal or not realize we're in chop when we are and all that. But yeah, I'm more likely to not enter a trade when it's good than enter a bad trade when no.
Mm.
So I don't know if that
And
answered your question or not, but
it's I mean, there's no wrong way to trade,
right.
so like listening to everybody's perspective, I love it, man. It's just getting these different insights because everybody takes bits and pieces from everybody's formula and formulate their own, and that leads me into talking about learning and growth. Like, what books, courses, or resources have had the biggest impact on your trading journey?
I think just watching and talking to other traders. I mean,
Mm,
I've been always meaning to read
uh-huh,
books, but I tend to doze off when I read books or listen to books on audiobooks or whatever. So
uh-huh,
it's just early on I watched a whole bunch of the videos and stuff, with different indicators and all that, and I think we've probably in our journey almost all of us have watched like Ross Cameron and all them, but
uh-huh.
for me it's just been the community and talking to other traders, seeing what they're doing. I think being part of a good trading community is, I think, very important because not only are you there for each other to support each other, but you can learn a lot as long as you're not trying to just jump from, you see, well, this person did this today, so I'm going to try that. And
Uh-huh.
then this person did this tomorrow, whatever. But yeah, I think that's been my biggest, my biggest resource because I went from the Earn to Trade Discord, which used to have a lot of good people on it, to my community, and I've learned a lot from the people around me.
Wow. So tell me, let's speak on journaling. How important is journaling your trades, and what insights have you gained from keeping a trading journal?
um, I'm terrible at journaling, and it's one thing I need to get better at. And this is why I really like what the Futures Desk has built with being able to journal as you're going, because I don't like going. First of all, I don't like going back and trying to figure out how I felt in a trade when 6 hours ago or whatever.
Mhm,
So I'm terrible at it. I mean, I'll go back and review my trades mentally, but
mhm.
I really do need to start putting stuff down on. And I tell everyone, and this is one of those things: is do as I say, don't do as I do, because I tell everyone they should be journaling. It is very important. But yeah, I just it's something I haven't gotten into a habit of doing it.
I appreciate that honesty. But, like, how do you feel about real-time, journal tracking systems like TFD is, offering to their traders?
Yeah, I think that's wonderful because I was actually on live stream. I was demonstrating it right before they launched, and I was doing it when I was using it, and it really is good. You can do it quickly, right when it's fresh in your mind. I think that's the perfect way. You know, I, I'm
Mm,
I I prefer verbal versus typing things out. So
right, right.
I think being able to do like a text to speech, I mean a speech to text type thing would be great,
Uh-huh.
where you can just because that's one thing. If I ever do want to review my trades when I'm streaming, I can just go back and look at my live stream.
Mm,
But I think being able to do it in real time like that, I think is a serious advantage. Just, I mean, let's face it. If you go back after your day, you might know how you felt six
uh-huh.
hours ago, but there might be some stuff that's already gone from your mind at that point.
Right, right. And something I found myself doing is I'll record my thoughts on my trading view profile, and then use that link in my journaling when I'm putting in my daily journal entry on TFD.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I never thought about it because I do use TradingView and for all my charting and stuff. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll do the video recording where it records my screen and I talk about my thoughts, how I feel, what I'm expecting for the day, and that's my notes that I go back to later on in the day when I sit down for the session.
That's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about doing that.
So let's talk about the broader industry insights. What are your thoughts on the current state of the market? Like, where do you see trading opportunities today?
I mean, I am a scalper, so my trades always last less than a minute to 2 minutes at the most. So
Mm,
every day, the opportunities are there for usually either direction. So yeah, I'm not really looking to know if it's going to go up 100 points or 200 points that day, or down the 100 or 200 points that day. I'm just looking for the 10-point scalp from either direction.
mm,
Um, I do, one of my plans for 2025 is to try and adjust some of my trading to longer time frames and stuff, but I really haven't looked at that yet. But I'm thinking that if I could adjust something off of because I'm using a 1 minute chart, I could adjust to something off of a 5 or even a higher chart, then I could be doing other stuff and just watching for signals on those charts where it's not like I'm having to constantly stare at the chart. I can just
mhm.
enter there. So it is something in I want to look at, but right now I just want to know what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes, not in the next, if ES is going to hit 6,500 or if it's going to go down to 5,500. I don't care. I just want to know if it's going to go up, you know, 10 points today.
It's just keeping it real, man.
Yeah, yep.
So, what advice would you give someone just starting their day trading journey?
um, know that it's going to take time. Um,
Mm,
uh, that's I think a lot of people start trading thinking that they're going to get it in a month or 2 months or 3 months. Cause I know I did. I thought for sure I just got to,
mhm,
do this and do this and this and follow this and this. And I'll have it and, start making money in 3 months. But
right.
so I think that's the first thing. And the second thing is understand the one thing that nobody almost it seems like nobody tells you when you're looking at day trading to start is how psychological it is.
Mhm.
Everyone thinks it's just read the chart, enter, exit, whatever. It's really the psychology of it. So be prepared to know or learn what the psychological challenges are. FOMO and revenge trading and all that, and
Mhm.
understand that, and understanding how to take a loss without letting those things really start getting to you, and to be willing to practice, whether that's on a sim account, total sim account, or whether you want to pick up a cheap eval. And
Mhm.
so you have a little skin in the game, but it's not going to break you. And you can
Right.
use that as your tuition to learn
Mhm.
how you feel when something happens to you, and how to start combating that. That's the two things: is learning your psychology and just taking your time to realize that this isn't going to be something that's going to start paying your bills in a couple of months. This is going to
Mhm.
take time that you're going to have to wait on.
Right. So, like, if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself when you first started trading?
Both of those things. Came from a place, like I said, I was very broke. I just got it. I've been between the hospital and the nursing home. I was down for a year of no earnings. So I was coming from a place of very bad financial situation. And I thought, oh, you know what? There's no reason I can't start earning decent money in a couple of months. And obviously
Mhm.
that didn't happen. And it kept spiraling, where it made things worse and worse. So, and just, I'm still learning that whole psychological thing. And I would just tell myself to stick with one thing, because, like I
Mhm.
said, I jumped multiple times. If I had found the system I'm using now, and even if the system I was using 2 years ago might be working now that I have my psychology better, it's still not perfect, obviously, but better, that might still have worked. So just sticking with one thing and learning how I react to situations, and how to respond to how I react to those situations.
Mhm. So, like, let's talk about your future plans for growth, because I see where you're going and I love it. Where do you see your community going in the next few years? Are there any new projects or features in the pipeline?
I'm trying to work on getting a website up, because I still don't have a website.
Mhm.
I have, like, I probably have, a few different ideas. People keep asking for me to provide more information than I do right now. Right now I have, the spreadsheets with the price and the type of the drawdown and stuff. People, like, they want to know which prop firms have which rules, or who has daily
Mhm.
loss limits, all that. So I would love to get a master spreadsheet type of thing where people could
Mhm.
look, something that's interactive. And I don't know how to code this. I need to find someone that can do this. That people could actually look for themselves, put whatever they're looking in for, and they can find which prop firms offer that.
Mhm.
I recently introduced various um, like things on any of my advertisements for any prop firms, like on Twitter, or on my daily video, where people can see when a prop firm has a path to live, if they're a new prop firm, so people know to be wary because they're new, not much of a track record, or
Mhm.
if they have no path to live, I have that marked. That way people can be more informed. I want everyone to be informed, because I feel bad if something that I was promoting end up bad for somebody. So I want
Right.
everyone to have as
Right.
much information. So I just want to, whatever, I try to listen to the community and ask what they want. And if I can do that, then I continue to just try and add on to it. And the thing is, I mean, as fast as the prop space has been moving, there could be 5 new things that we end up wanting to look at in the next 6 months that I'm not even aware of at this point.
Huh. So, like, tell me, what steps are you personally taking towards moving towards profitability while maintaining this amazing community?
Um, just, and just continuing to try and take good trades while I'm on stream.
Mhm.
Trying not to trade if I'm busy off stream, and remember that I don't need to like force anything, and just, you know, continuing to trade my plan. I'm hoping that, once the holiday season's over, hoping to add a little bit more time to my plans, to my trading, so I can do a little bit more there. But right now, I'm, I have those funded accounts, but right now I'm also just, I'm trying to accumulate funded accounts, if that makes sense. I have funded accounts with
Uh-huh.
like three different firms. I want
Right.
I want a bunch of funded accounts. So I'm still working
Uh-huh.
on evals now instead of really working on the fundeds. I want a bunch of funded accounts that I can start just, and then once I have the amount I want, then I can really start focusing on the fundeds.
Right.
Because I do think like I said, earlier I said I think things are getting more expensive, and we still don't know what
Mhm.
the wild card of regulation is going to do. So I want to
Mhm.
build the amount of funded accounts now, and then start focusing on the fundeds in the very early part of 2025.
Do you copy trade?
I do rarely. Right now I don't, because I don't
Mm.
want to end up, if I have a bad day, I don't want to have 5 bad days, in
Right.
one day.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's something I'm open to once I'm more consistent.
Right. Right. So like what's a common trading myth that you'd like to debunk?
Ooh, good question. Trading myth I don't like to debunk. I think one that you keep hearing from people is that, X indicator or Y indicator or whatever indicator can't work or don't work because it's, lagging indicators don't work. Some other people say other indicators don't work. I think that, well, no one should rely on any one or even any set of indicators. You still want to look at what the price is doing. I think anything can be used as a tool, and constantly hear, one that was, and this is something else that I used to do is people would come in and say, you need to do this, this, and this. And I would start listening to them, which would confuse me even more, and they'll tell me this, and this can't work. I think these tools can work as long as they're part of a toolbox. And I think people need to allow people to trade their own things without, you know, getting in their way. I understand everyone tries to helpful advice, but I think
Uh-huh.
sometimes we try to convince somebody that just because something's working for someone and they're really profitable, everyone has to trade that way.
Uh-huh. You tend to see that in ICT traders.
Yeah, yeah, I
They
think
feel like everybody has a trade ICT.
yep, yeah.
Yeah. If if you could describe your trading style in 3 words, what would it be?
Scalping, uh, scalping, momentum and reversal, I guess, because I scalp both directions based on momentum and reversal.
Sounds like you fade the trend.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. So what is the most rewarding aspect of running this community that you have?
seeing people that have struggled for a long time find success. I've had
Uh,
a couple of people on, more than a couple now, but two of the admins on my Discord, and I'm sure they won't even mind me saying their names, Justin Eck and Chef. I saw them
uh-huh.
struggle for over a year, blowing account after account, whatever. And now they're consistently profitable traders taking out payouts, sometimes from multiple prop firms. And
Man.
that to me, because, they were ready. I mean, at least I know Chef was ready to quit at one point. And just
Uh-huh.
seeing somebody that struggled for a length of time finally find success, and not just that one payout success, but that multiple payouts over time type of success. I love seeing people succeed. I get happier for other people succeeding than I get happier for myself. And it's just, that is so rewarding to me to see people be able to turn their trading around. And that's why I say I believe almost everybody has the ability to do that. And that's just wonderful to me.
Right. So like this portion here is my sniper questions. Rapid fire questions that you answer right off the top of your head. Quick first answer comes to mind.
Okay.
What's your go-to trading platform?
TradingView.
Coffee or energy drinks?
Coffee.
What's the most underrated skill in trading?
Psychological management.
Favorite book on trading?
I haven't read any, so I can't really say.
Do you trade with music or in silence?
Music if I'm not live streaming.
And best stress reliever after a rough day?
A nap.
Man, Ox, it was wonderful having you, man. Such a lovely conversation, bro.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, it was all good, man. I'm gonna make sure I get all your links so I can post them down below so everybody can get in touch with you, be able to join that lovely community that you got, man. Because I mean, I've met wonderful people in your space and get wonderful vibes from you all the time, man.
Appreciate that very much, my friend.
Man, so thanks for tuning in to the NOFOMO podcast, where we discuss keeping it cool and adapting to today's ever-changing markets. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so that you don't miss out on the future drops. We got plenty more insight coming your way. Until next time, stay focused, stay disciplined, and remember, when it comes to trading, the best mindset to have is no FOMO. Y'all be cool, and we'll catch you on the next one.